Hello, keyboarders. Tis I, the Simon. And today we're going to talk about how to find the perfect keyboard project. That could be a key set, that could be a keyboard. This is a beginner-centric video, just like the first video. This is the second of the, I don't know what it's called yet, the A to Z of keyboard stuff. And yeah, this is, for people that are relatively new in the hobby that don't know how to identify particular things. Though there might be some useful things for more knowledgeable people in this video as well. At least you'll get a little confirmation bias. So, uh, if you're relatively new to the hobby, welcome. Remember, this is a hobby. Buying things is not a hobby, though this video is about buying things, but it's about buying things intelligently because it's not about the thing that you buy, it's about the experience that you derive from the thing that you buy. All right. So we're going to talk about figuring out what you like, which is kind of broad, how to identify a good project, how to identify red flags in particular projects, and then just like general FAQs about buying boards and key sets, stuff like that. So let's roll the intro and get into it. All right, here we are. Before we get into it, I would like to thank some patrons for actually helping me out with this video. Unkeet for helping, Halfscrim, and also Pontus. And obviously, thank you to my dad patron. You know who you are. These videos would not be possible without all the patrons, so thank you guys. I do appreciate it. So let's get right into it. Step one is figuring out what you want, right? What do you think you want? Now, there are two ways to enter the hobby, and one of them is logical, the other is illogical. You know, if you come into the hobby and you say, oh, I want the latest super hype, flashy PVD TKL that's $1,500. No, what are you doing? What are you doing? Or trying to buy a key cult as your first board. Don't do that. That's like saying, I want to buy my first nice car. I'm going to buy a Bugatti Veyron. No, you're not. You'll get something that makes more sense first until you realize the true depth of the hobby. Then eventually you can go for something real nice. Remember that a keyboard, just a normal keyboard, can be had for $4. You know, not a mechanical keyboard, but $4. So spending $500+ is wild, and as such should be thought about. You know, do you have to think about it? Even if you're financially well off, even if you have the means to just buy $1,000 keyboard and it's not a problem for you, that's great. But also don't be an idiot. Wealthy people don't stay wealthy by wasting their money. Consider what you are buying, okay? The general thing that I'll be going or gravitating towards is good value, good projects, right? A good value project could be $100. A good value project could be $1,000, and it still is good value. That's the important thing there, is you are new or you don't specifically know what you want yet. Target something realistic and good, okay? Forget Met Market and other secondhand sources, okay? Literally forget about it. Not until you're 200% sure it's exactly what you want. If you buy your first board for a flip price or secondhand or Met Market or whatever, you're ruining the hobby for yourself. You are ruining the hobby for yourself. My first modern mechanical keyboard was something called the Welfare 96. Welfare 96, okay? It was $80. And it was a 96% with a steel plate, and it was terrible. But you know what it was? A fantastic learning experience for $80. And from there, I was able to jump off to the next point, right? Buy something new. Don't go on secondhand markets, okay? You can later. It's totally fine. But what we're targeting now is good value at group buy or in stock keyboards or key sets, right? So let's try and suss out realistically what do we want. right? Like, do you want a TKL? Do you want a 60%? Do you like 75? Do you like flexi plates? Do you like stiff plates? Do you like tactile switches? Do you like buckling springs? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you like. But meetups are back. Meetups are back. I recently, like 2 weeks ago, got back from the Dubai meetup, and it was amazing. It was fantastic. Uh, there were so many cool people there. Everybody was super nice. There were so many good keyboards, so many fantastic builds, and I didn't care about it because I'm already so deep into the hobby. But there are two types of people that will visit meetups. Okay, if you are new to the hobby and don't you don't have a lot of boards and you want to try stuff out, go to a meetup. Or if you are very experienced in the hobby and have a lot of keyboards, it is your duty to go to a hobby and just put all your boards down and let people try them. And then don't even care about the boards and go chill with people. That's basically what we did. But it was fantastic. There were a lot of younger people that came into the meetup that were trying stuff, and they're more than welcome. It's not a problem. If you're shy, don't worry. Basically 100% of the people at any keyboard meetup are also shy. So just show up at a meetup, touch some keyboards. You can talk to people if you want, but it is a very good experience of figuring out the type of things that you like. For example, there was a very nice Alice-esque keyboard at the meetup that I really liked. There was a very nice Matrix 2.0 that I really liked so much that I took it home with me. Uh, what else? What else did I see? I tried a board made by a friend of mine, Paul, and I really enjoyed it, and I definitely want one now. So even for somebody with my experience, going to a meetup is still eye-opening because you can try it for free, or you can spend a buttload of money and wait a year to get it. Why would you do the second one when you can try it for free? Right? It's the same logic as if you're going to go and buy high-end headphones or speakers or whatever. You're going to try them out. You got to try it out. So try it out. Go to a meetup. Go to a meetup. And if there isn't a meetup, talk to friends, organize a meetup. It doesn't have to be a huge meetup. Right before the Dubai meetup, not right before, but like a couple of months before, I had a meetup where I just invited a bunch of people in my house. I was like, come over and we'll just touch keyboards. And it was great. So yeah. All right. So now you've tried. You've tried some stuff. You've got an idea of more or less what you like. Well, stick to something tried and true, right? Don't buy a board to flip it. Do not approach the hobby in such a way of, I bought this for $69 and I can sell it for $420. No. My collection is worth a ton. Got freaking like super nice boards. I've got Singas, I've got TGRs, I've got triangles, all that stuff. I never once bought a board based on its flip value. I bought them because I want to own them. That is a great way to end up with a lot of really good boards, which in the future, if you want to sell them, yeah, sure, you can make some money off of it, but that should not be your primary objective. Buy something good. Buy something nice. Buy something for yourself. You're buying something for yourself, right? Obviously, don't fall for the noob bait and FOMO that certain makers try to peddle, okay? We're going to go through that. We're going to talk about good projects and like how to spot red flags. But in general, the general thing I'm trying to push you towards is be smart with your money, get something decent, and don't go on secondhand. Don't go on Mac Market. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I know it means you can't have what you want right now, and that's fine. If you can't have what you want right now, there are plenty of filler boards to just keep you busy. I have a Keychron K8 Pro, which is like an $80 board on my desk. It's something to type on, Right there is an NCR80, another $80 keyboard that I covered in another YouTube video. That entire build was like $129 with the switches and the caps and the stabs. So if you're in the market for something relatively high-end, don't blow your load. Hold your money. Wait for a decent project to come along and then support that project. Support that project. If you're going to go and buy secondhand, you're not supporting a project. You're supporting some idiot that's trying to profit off you. So slow down, and we'll talk about how to find good projects. Okay? There we go. All right. So, how do we find good projects? Like anything else in life, you'd prefer to buy from a reputable brand, right? If if you have Samsung and you have Samyang, you're gonna buy the Samsung because you know it's an actual brand, right? There's an Eastern European saying that goes, "I'm not rich enough to buy cheap." Like if you buy something cheap, you're gonna have to buy it so many times that you may as well have bought the expensive thing. By that I mean, consider spending the $400 or $500 that a super nice TKL would cost if you're going to spend at that price point. And if you're going to spend at the $300 mark, you're going to get the best possible $300 thing you can. You want reputable, established makers, especially if you're new. If you have experience and you're willing to gamble on new makers, fine. Fine. But generally, if you're new, stick to brands that people know, not hype brands. Okay? No hype, no FOMO, none of that nonsense. Somebody that has a stable, provable, consistent track record. Okay? You have to do at least some research before buying into a brand or project. If you fuck up, it's on you. Like I said in the first video, it's on you. So let's look at an example. Okay? The example is going to be, I'm literally just going to pick something from yesterday's group buy review. So let's do that. There, Aviha. Okay, we've got the Noxery Aviha. Okay, so let's say I'm interested in this, right? I want to buy this. Well, before I buy this, who the hell is Noxery, right? Well, let's have a look. Let's do Geek Hack Aviha Noxery. See if it shows up. It's not on Geek Hack. Okay, let's just drop Aviha because we know who Noxery is, right? Does this man not post on Geek Hack? Okay, let's go to Uncle Google. Hello, Uncle Google. Okay, well, this is the research that I will be doing, okay? The research I will be doing is, one, clicking on the person's name, okay? Looking at when they registered. That's a very good indicator. I, obviously want somebody qualified. If you're gonna hire a plumber, you don't want a guy that started yesterday. If you're gonna buy a keyboard from a guy, do you want him to at least have a little bit of experience in the hobby, generally? Okay, so 2015, and what we can do is show posts and just see what's going on, right? It's 136 pages, but okay. I can see that there's updates on this Noxery 280 thread. Okay. I mean, that's good to see. You like to see communication in a thread. That's nice, Roomba. Okay. So it looks like regarding partial refunds, so this group buy is not going well, but that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Things do go wrong, and it's all about how somebody handles it. Communication is everything. And from what I can tell, there's a lot of communication here. That's not bad. I do appreciate the communication. Okay, so let's say I'm interested in the Aviha. So what research am I going to do? Well, I'm going to look into the maker. I'm going to see if they're brand new. They're not brand new. I'm going to see if they have a history. They have a history. Now, I personally know Noxery's history, like A to Z. I know during his first ever group buy, the X60, it was a shit show, but he handled it very well, and he lost a lot of money making things right. That is a very good indicator that this is somebody that actually cares. So I, for example, know that, sure, if I buy this, I'm going to get a decent board. When I'll get it, I don't know, but I know I will get a decent board. I know if there's problems with it, it will be resolved, okay? Generally, good communication, good history is something you like to see, right? Right. Where is it? So, very similar example of like things going wrong and then handling it being a good thing. If you look at my F2 video, my GeonWorks F2, I don't know what the title is, video, where Gian had two choices. He shipped out some pretty bad keyboards in terms of quality control. He could have just been like, deal with it. This is within quality standards. Or he could have taken the much more expensive approach of spending like $100,000 out of pocket to recall and replace and repair all the boards. He picked the second one. That's a lot of money. That lets you know where people stand on a particular thing. Those are all positive indicators. I know it's silly. Group buy going to shit is a positive indicator? Yeah, if it's handled correctly. Because imagine I am a new maker, right? And imagine I put out a board and it's totally fine. There are no problems, okay? However, I am the type of maker that, making a profit is the only thing I actually care about. So I do a second group buy, different product. And everybody looks at my track record and says, hey, this guy delivered fine and everybody was happy the first time. And it goes terribly wrong the second time. And I tell everybody to go fuck off and keep all the money. So yeah. Now, when it comes to new makers, all right, remember, first-time makers doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. The gamble is on you, obviously. TGR had a first project. OTD had a first project. Shit, I had a first project. Just because something is somebody's first project doesn't mean it's bad. But with enough time in the hobby and with enough experience of just looking at the way things are, you can generally identify what are good projects and what are not. I do it every Saturday on stream, doing group buy reviews. I can look at something and be like, okay, this is a first-time maker, but they're doing the right thing. Or this is a first-time maker, and you should avoid this maker entirely because, lots of red flags. So let's go into green flags and red flags. Like things you want to see, things you don't want to see. I'm not going to give specific examples. I'm not going to show you specific ICs. If you want that, hop on stream. I don't want to out anybody based on like one line that they wrote and then condemn them, okay? So for the record, I will release another video about how to IC properly that will be maker focused. This is hobbyist focused. This is customer focused, okay? So green, maker has put time, effort, and money behind the project, okay? No proto is a no-no, okay? If you see somebody has made like 6 prototypes, you know it's good. You know that the maker is willing to spend money in order to actually get a good product, right? Now for key sets, how refined is the kitting? How is the compatibility? How is the desk mat? These are all tiny little indicators, but they all add up. Obviously, for key sets, it's possible that they could have samples, they could have color chips, they could have an entire sample set. That's usually a good sign. For example, ep2 Duo had a full sample, and the IC was taken using pictures of the actual product, which for a key set is incredibly rare. That is a fantastic green flag. You want to see that the maker has revised their work, right? You want to see from the IC to the group buy stage, something has changed. Something has changed because no work is perfect the first time. Anybody that looks at a first proto or sample and thinks it's fine will look at your B stock unit and think it's fine. You get the logic there. If it's just, make it and ship it versus actually trying to incrementally refine and ameliorate the product, that's good. You want to see revision. You want to see changes. I want to open up an IC and just be like, here are all the changes that have been made and all the suggestions that have been made. Fantastic. It means you care. I love it. And the final green flag, well, I guess we're just going to call it green flags. The maker is a clear hobbyist, okay? You can tell why they're here. They're here because they love this. They are a hobbyist. Being humble is a requirement for new makers. There is, we have yet to get to the red flags, but if you are a new maker and you're pretending that you're the hot shit and you know exactly what you're doing and it's going to be flawless and minimalistic and and innovative. No, I would not give you a penny of my fucking money. I would not. Being humble is a requirement for a new maker. You are new. You have to be humble. Now, I'm speaking to makers, but in general, as a customer, if you see somebody that just signed up to Geek Hack and they're just like, this is the coolest thing that will ever exist, and it uses 7-dimensional magnets, and they don't show you how it works, and there's no prototypes, and there's no like changes, that's none of that is a good sign. None of that is a good sign. All right, let's talk about the red flags. Okay, all right, I'm gonna sip my coffee so it's easier to do the timestamp. All right, there we go. So red flags. Again, I'm not going to show you specific examples, but if you see it, you'll know it. Number one, heavy marketing speak. Heavy marketing speak. On Group Buy Reviews yesterday, we ran into a project, I'm not going to say what it was, that had very heavy marketing speak. It was so bad that even though the keyboard was good, the way in which it was introduced, it was oversold. It was oversold, and I hated the project. I absolutely hated the project. Heavy marketing speak implies two things, okay? It implies that the maker thinks you're an idiot and can be manipulated by fancy marketing words. That's part one, okay? Two, it means the maker thinks they're fantastic. Like, too much so. It means they have no humility. They're not humble. And they think you're an idiot. Heavy marketing speak is generally a red flag. Obviously, there are exceptions to the rule, okay? People like Lewis Feud, who will go marketing speak heavy, but like the product is still good. So again, not all red flags are an indication of, oh no, I'm not touching that project. All right, so next red flag, no prototype and common projects like a gasket mount 65 or a Japanese inspired key set with poor kitting. If it's something that's a dime a dozen, something that you see it all the time, that's usually a red flag. That's usually a red flag, unless it's being done super cleanly or super cheaply. It needs to be bringing something new to the table. If a project is not bringing something new to the table, then why would I care about it? And if there's no proto for a keyboard, then I don't trust you because you haven't put money behind the project. Meaning you don't even believe in the project. How am I supposed to believe in you believing in the project when you won't even believe in the project by spending the money required to do the project? And if your argument is, oh, but I don't have the money, okay, so what's going to happen if you run the group buy and something goes wrong? Are you just going to let it die? All right, next red flag, clear FOMO. Clear FOMO. Kind of ties into heavy marketing speak, but very clear FOMO. For example, mentioning first come, first serve before like showing you the keyboard, or telling you like it's exclusive or limited, or, you know, they're trying to take your money. Okay? If it says first come, first serve, like down in an IC or a group buy, like at the bottom next to the price, fine. But if it says it way up high before we even know what the price is, that is them trying to FOMO. Okay? Beware the FOMO. You know, there are keyboards that are coming out all the time. Believe it or not, there are so many keyboards. There's like at least like 10 a week. There's so many. You wait like a month, and something fantastic will come up. Just save your money. Don't be a dumbass. All right. Another red flag. Not enough info about the project. For example, not enough pictures, not enough renders, not enough specs. Okay. This is a rookie mistake, okay? This is something that I would expect out of two kinds of makers. One, somebody that's new and has no idea what they're doing, or two, somebody that is so full of themselves that they feel like they don't have to give us that information. And both of those are terrible. We want to hit it in the middle, okay? We want to open up an IC and see all the specs. The more specs, the better. Just all the specs. Give me all the specs. What is the exact width in millimeters? What is the exact height in millimeters? How much does it weigh built? How much does it weigh unbuilt? How are you calculating your front height? You know, all that stuff. I know that this is very keyboard related and not key set related, but for a key set, I mean, listen, for a key set, it's being made with like one of the like 5 major makers. You're going to look at the history of the maker. So like, what is the history of Milky Way? It's bad. What is the history of Cat? It's bad. And I'm saying like objectively bad. Like do your own research, but like oof. So or like it's a GMK set. It's going to be made by GMK. It's probably going to be fine. Something like that. But for keyboards, the more info, the better. There are a billion CNC shops and anodizing shops. So I need to see the info. I need to see the protos. I need to see that you care enough to tell me about the product. Okay. And finally, final red flag, which was covered, I think, in episode 1, but lots of fluff and inspiration and lacking on the product side. So like the idea is big, but like the product's not really there. You got to bring something to the table. Like for a keyboard project, you're presenting a project, not an idea. An idea is fine to turn into a project. But yeah, if you see lots of fluff, lots of inspiration, especially marketing heavy inspiration, lots of freaking buzzwords, but it's not much going on with the actual product, I'd avoid it. Especially like as a project that you would buy into early on in the hobby, I wouldn't. Get something solid. Get something that is not going to have problems. Get something from a reputable maker and something that is financially achievable. All right, I mean that's it for the green flags and red flags. I'll cover some general FAQs or like general questions that people have about like buying their first board, and hopefully that should be helpful. All right, the first one that I get all the time, and like we'll continue getting it till the end of the universe. What color do I get? The one that you like. The one that you like. You get the one that you like. It doesn't matter. Obviously, I like variety. I wouldn't want to have 40 keyboards and all of them being the same color. That's like having 40 shirts and all of them being the right color. You want to add a little spice to your life, right? So whatever color you like, but pay attention to the historical anodization quality. I know. We just leveled up. All right, for example, my F1, which is there. My F1, when I bought it during the Korean buy originally, I asked around. I asked some people, I was like, how is the anodization in this color? And originally I wanted gray. I wanted a gray F1. And I was told, listen, the gray has issues. I was like, oh, really? The gray has issues. Show me a picture. And I saw, and there was banding. So like if we're like looking at the keyboard from the side, pretend this is all one color, like the middle was a different color than the top, that's called banding. So I was like, okay, so maybe I'll get all black or all silver. So I looked at what all black and all silver units looked like, and I saw that the matching was not good. So like the black on the top and the black on the bottom were slightly different. So I'm like, okay, fine. Based on this information, I am getting a black top and a silver bottom. I'm getting a two-tone, and it turns out the anodization on my unit is fine. But I was kind of forced to pick those colors based on the historical anode quality. If I was buying a Singa or a TGR or a something by West Foxtrot or something by Bachu, maybe, then I generally would just get whatever color I want. But obviously, look at historical anode quality, right? Outside of anode, we'll talk about finishing because more than anode exists, all right? Like anode is super robust. I love anodization. Anodization allows you to do some crazy stuff, and I know this is going to terrify a lot of people, but like this is totally fine for anode. Like flat to flat contact, totally fine. Won't scratch, won't dent, won't anything like that. Like I've done it on stream with very expensive boards, totally fine. Anode is incredibly robust. E-coat will scratch kind of easily. So E-coat, like if you kind of fumble a little bit for E-coat, the thing that I was just doing, which is just like flat on flat contact, will actually damage E-coat. If you were to like drop something on your board, like your phone or something, that will damage the E-coat. If you put enough pressure with your nail, that can damage the E-coat. So E-coat, not super robust. Very pretty, but not super robust, right? Finally, we have Cerakote. Cerakote is fine as long as you don't drop it, dent it, anything like that, because it will chip. It is basically like ceramic. So it will chip in the corner if you do smack like the corner of a Cerakoted board. So that's like general finishing. General finishing, I will always go with anodization for its robustness. But obviously, like if you that's a super nice ceramic or like a super nice Cerakote or a super nice E-coat, go for it. Just be kind of careful with it, right? For the weights, uh, non-coated brass will patina. Deal with it. It will patina. Coated brass, like Cerakoted or clear coated, will hold up better. So there's many ways to like seal a brass weight, and some seals are far more good than others. My Singer Jaguar TKL has basically what I would consider a unprotected brass weight. The maker, Elaine, says, well, it's protected. It's got sandblast and it's got a clear coat, but no, like it's got fucking stains on it from just sitting in high humidity. Whereas the Frog TKL, which has a full ceramic finish over the brass, will hold up a lot better. Generally, though, consider steel if you plan to touch the weight a lot with your hands, right? Generally, consider steel if you're in a high humidity environment. But yeah, brass, a lot of people will prefer the sound of brass to the sound of steel when it comes to a weight, but don't even worry about that yet. All right. Next question. Finally, something key set related. What kits do I get for my key set? Right? I mean, logically, you're just going to be like, oh, well, I have a 60%, so I'm going to get a kit that covers my 60%. Okay, that's great. But the future exists. You're not only going to have a 60% forever, right? And once you get sick of the key set and you're trying to sell it, the other guy might not have a 60%, right? So please get a numpad. Please get a numpad. For example, I mean, just get a numpad. Get a numpad, and if there is no ISO layout support on the key set, be a good guy and buy the international kit. Buy the international kit. You're supporting the future of the hobby and your selfish ability to sell it for more money in the future, if that makes you feel better, right? Because remember that the majority of countries in the world use ISO, and the hobby is still growing. And eventually, the hobby has to grow into those countries. And eventually, those people are going to need ISO support. And if you have an ANSI, an ANSI key set, and you're trying to sell it to somebody that doesn't use ANSI, too bad for you. So yeah, and same thing with getting a key set. You want to be able to actually fit a full size. You may not use a full size, but the person that you sell it to or give it to in the future may use a full size. Or maybe you will use a full size in the future. Maybe you will see the light. Who knows? Generally, though, just get enough to fill a full size and ISO layout support, and that's good enough. Next question. That's a weird question. Do I need more than one PCB? I've gotten this question a few times. When ordering a keyboard, people will be like, should I get more than one PCB? No. Unless you want to hot swap builds, as in like you have a plate and a PCB and a build in that plate, and you have another one, so you can just alternate, which you're not going to do. Even though it sounds like a really smart idea, the amount of effort required to fully disassemble the board, remove the plate, and put in the new plate in PCB, it's not convenient. It's really not convenient. So no, you do not need more than one PCB. How many desolders can that PCB survive? 20, 30. As long as like you're being somewhat careful, it will last a long time. It will last a long time. So just buy one PCB. The other reason people will ask if they should buy another PCB is, what if the first PCB doesn't work? If it doesn't work, then talk to the maker, because it should work. Like, the whole point of selling a keyboard kit is the PCB should work. All right. And last for the Q&A section is, hey, what plate do I get? Okay. I assume that's like what plate material. So brass is like normie bait, not in a bad way. It's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. So brass will sound decent. It's easy to build with if you don't have experience building, because it won't be all floppy and weird and whatnot. But it's still kind of stiff, right? You have to figure out what you like first through meetups and speaking to other hobbyists. Generally plastic plates for more flex, metal plates for a stiffer experience, half plate for ultimate flex, and full plate for max hard PP. Wow, I promise I'm just reading the script. Well, the outline. Okay. I mean, that's it. That's the Q&A. If you guys have more questions, drop them in the comments or hop into the Discord. We have a help channel. It is very helpful. All right, summary time. Summary. Let's go. 1, wait for something good. Don't FOMO. Okay, don't FOMO. Buy something to keep you busy in the interim. Buy something to keep you busy in the interim. Buy something cheap. Okay, buy something cheap just so you have something to touch in the meantime. Okay. 2, be smart with your purchase. Okay, don't follow hype bullshit. Stick to reputable makers, especially if you're relatively new. Okay, don't fall for the mousetrap. Okay, you should be smart enough to not get into the mousetrap. Number 3, take the time to figure out what you like. Engage with the community. Speak to people. The real hobby is the friends we make along the way. And as hilariously cliche as that sounds, speak to somebody that's been in the hobby a long time and they will agree. The real hobby is the friendships that we make. It has nothing to do with metal rectangles, honestly. Because if it was metal rectangles in a vacuum and nobody actually communicated with each other, then we wouldn't even bother doing keyboards. Number 4, don't rush into the secondhand market unless you have multiple boards and know exactly what you want. Your first board should not be from Mac Market. Your second board should not be from Mac Market. If you're on your 5th board, fine. At that point, you know specifically what you want. Fine. You can pay the premium and buy it off someone. But generally, And number 5, sit tight. Because the next step, the waiting period, is the hard one, which will be coming next episode. And we'll talk about the waiting game and what you can do while playing the waiting game, essentially, and waiting for your board or your key set to arrive, and how to prevent yourself from being like me and have 40 keyboards. God, I am a terrible example. Anyway, that's the video. I hope it was informative. This series will continue if you guys keep watching it, and thank you for watching. All right, wait, more coffee.